Hey Tim, look at this.
Needs work.
Hey Tim, how about this?
Still needs work.
Darn it. How about this?
Nice, high five.
Hi there everybody, how's it going?
My name's Tim.
And my name's Michael.
And you're watching the TMI show.
That's the Tim and Michael Information Show.
That's right.
And today we're talking about a very particular comment. It's the comment that you get when you're in the middle of working on a piece and someone just comes by and says something. And it's a kind of something that just kind of makes you, stop dead in your tracks and you're like, oh, come on.
Drive-by commenting, I hate that.
Oh, I want to start with a story that you were telling me about earlier, about when you were drawing something and your dad came by. It's a perfect example, I think. So go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, no. I remember being a kid. I had one of those books from the library, the How to Draw What Have You book. We had a car or an animal. This one was about science fiction, and there was a How to Draw Darth Vader in there.
I know.
Yeah. So I'm about halfway through. My dad comes in and looks what I'm drawing, and he says, "Tim, what are you drawing?" And I said, "Well, it's Darth Vader. You don't recognize it?" And he says, "I guess so. Looks kind of like an ape." And I had to point out, "Dad, it's halfway done. And besides, look at where I'm at in the book, and their step at this point looks like an ape too. So it's not just me."
Let me finish. Oh, one of the things that I've gotten all throughout my life of growing up, because I've always drawn people, and I'm always in the middle of person, and I've gotten this. I don't know why they decided to come in at this point. I really think they're waiting.
Right.
There must be like some sort of secret organization out there that's just waiting at a particular time when, as soon as I get here, somebody pops up and they're like,
"Hey, you didn't put the hands on."
"Ah!" I'm like, I know, like, come on. It's, I'm not drawing mannequins.
Hey, that's my joke.
It is your joke?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm sorry. Well, it's...
That's another episode when people steal your stuff.
But you know what, this will end up happening. When you work with certain people, you start, one of two things will happen. One, you just start feeding off of each other's energy and you start integrating each other's jokes. Two, they come back to you later and they start to try to sue you for copyright or whatever. Hopefully the latter will not happen to us. Anyways, back... No, don't have any.
And neither do I.
Back to the... so, again, this is something that's probably happened to you guys where somebody comes up and they start talking and sometimes it just kind of stops you dead in your tracks. And I don't really know if I have an immediate solve for it because obviously I've been taking classes within the last year pretty intensely, focusing on art classes. And again, this just happened yesterday. In fact, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't really say anything. I just kind of went like, thanks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know if it's happened to you recently or not. Or...
Not as much, and honestly, I haven't been at school as much as I was last semester. I do a lot of work at home, but I totally know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
I've recognized recently that when I'm showing my artwork to fellow students, they'll always critique it. They might say something nice off the bat, like, "Oh, that looks great," and then go right into, "Oh, but this over here." And so I've learned if I'm looking for praise and adoration, show it to non-artsy people because they're the ones who are going to love it. And then, the art people, they'll love it at first and they'll start picking it apart. It's just a natural response that, I mean, it's not just our particular set of friends, it's myself too. Whenever I'm looking through an art book or I'm watching a movie or I'm in a museum, whatever's out there in front of me, I start picking it apart and commenting on the colors or the composition or what have you. It's just in our nature.
Yeah, I think maybe just take it in stride. That's the best thing we can tell you. It's kind of yes and thank you in scene work for theater. It's kind of like, all right, you take it and then just go with it. And in improvisation, there's that rule of never deny. So again, maybe just don't deny or don't do anything. Just kind of like, okay, like thanks, because there's not really anything you can do. And again,
true.
I don't think anybody is intentionally trying to throw you off. And no one's trying to be mean to you either. They're just looking at your art and they're just saying the most honest thing that comes to them at that particular moment in time. So hopefully it doesn't throw you too much when that happens. And if you keep finding that, it happens even though you're like, gosh, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I thought I was past this. But, maybe it still might. You'll be 80. And somebody comes and says something, but just take it in stride.
Well, the worst thing that happens too is when somebody comments on something and says, "Oh, you're having a problem there," And that is a problem that has been glaring at you for the last hour, and
Oh.
you've been trying to figure out. I mean, it's kind of the same situation as you with your hands. Like, I know the hands aren't on there yet. Oh, I know that problem is there, and unlike the hands, which you know you're going to put on, you don't know how to deal with it, and they've just pointed out the obvious. It's like when you sneeze 10 times in a row. And, are you sick? What was your first clue?
And I remember you telling me that sometimes
injury.
you're not at school a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I think maybe somebody will tell you just go to a place where there aren't any people. But we also know there are some of you out there that may like working in environments with other people. You're used to working at school. You're used to working at your office. You're used to working at your studio. Sometimes you're used to working in a facility that the facility has the tools that you need, and you don't necessarily have everything at home. So especially for you who either have to or like just working around other people, it's okay. You know, just you don't have to feel like you have to all of a sudden leave and find a secluded area. Just keep working there, and again, just take it in stride with a grain of salt. You're gonna be okay. They're just words, and the only thing they can do is critique your piece and say they don't like it.
It's true.
But let's wait till you finish it first before they even get to that
But
point.
as long as you love it and you own it and you are very passionate about that piece, in one regard, that is all that matters. Don't be blind to critique, but that doesn't mean you can't love it. It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
You know, I think before we go, we should also talk about real fast protocol for if you are the drive-by commenter, because you know now we're going to get a lot of people who are going to swing the other direction. And, oh, I can never walk around and look at people's work and say anything. I have to do it in silence. And well, no, don't do that. You know, one of the reasons I think this frustrates us is sometimes the fact that the advice or the feedback is unsolicited.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, often, I mean, obviously I want feedback for my work. I'm not this ego who thinks, oh, my work's always so great.
Yeah.
It's above...
I'm amazing. Buy it and put it in a museum.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put my hands down now. But, you know, words are failing me. It's happening a lot tonight.
But no, you're absolutely right, because, you know, don't feel like you can't say anything walking around.
Right.
Though. Because honestly, we talk a lot about those very first reactions and the things that are around it. Sometimes you need to hear whatever it is you need to hear. And sometimes it's good to have the most honest whatever it is.
Yep.
So if you are walking by and you see something and you just feel like, wow, you know, whatever it is, just say it. Don't feel like you have to all of a sudden zip yourself shut and say, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to throw them off.
And every once in a while, you're going to see a glaring problem that you're just like, oh, I got to say something about it. And I had that happen once with a friend of mine who was doing this character. It was a colorful character. It was like a creature. And the color of the nose was the same as the color of most of the face down here, which meant the nose was, you know, was very flush with the rest of what was going on here. It wasn't popping out the way it should have. Obviously, that's something I wanted to comment on. You may be in situations where you want to comment on a piece too. If you can do it without intruding on that person, that's usually a good way to go. Again, you know, being less of a unsoliciting person.
Mm-hmm.
And just doling it out, but rather saying, hey, do you mind if I give you a suggestion? But suddenly you've empowered them to respond to that, and they can take that or leave that or say, no, not right now, I'm still working out some bugs.
Mm-hmm.
If you can empower other people, that's a good way to roll.
Yeah, and also Bill Mittler, who's taught playwriting, and he directs and he writes and also advises our writers and readers. He tells us always to be mindful when we're giving critiques on people's writings that we've just read. Don't try to write their piece. And that's something you have to be careful, you know. So don't try and write that person's piece for them. But again, I think your approach to it is really safe. You know, to ask like, you know, hey, do you mind, or if I may, you know, and it's okay if they, you know, say no, and it's okay if they say yes, you know, just kind of take it in stride and don't feel like you always have to write somebody's piece or create whatever it is, you know.
True story.
So, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we will see you next week.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
Stay classy. Keep drawing.
Hey guys, if you have any questions or want to have a topic answered on a future show, go ahead and email us at tmi.art.productions@gmail.com.
How do you fix a lumpy mattress again?